Well, the city of Glendale is getting ready to host its third Super Bowl. Back in 2015, Super Bowl 49, Patriots over the Seahawks, and then you had the 2008 one, Giants over the Patriots, and then before that was Super Bowl 30, but it was in Tempe, Sun Devil Stadium. Pete Prisco, you remember that one?
I do. Cowboys and Steelers. I was there.
That's your home field. Your home field there, Pete.
Yeah, I don't think they've had a win in there since then. Anybody.
The Valley of the Sun getting ready to host another big game. By the way, we've been bringing this back during the postseason, and here's the ATS scoreboard for Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco. Again, Brady, the overall season champ. Pete does have the edge in best bets.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, conference champ. I kind of went with the two hot teams. Obviously, neither of that panned out. It didn't help either with San Francisco when they lose their starting quarterback, who was already the third string.
They weren't going to win or cover in that game anyway.
I don't know that that's the case. I mean, Philly was having a hard time stopping the rushing attack, even with the quarterback issues for San Francisco. So I know Brandon Ayuk made a lot of waves for what he said in regards to not being able to exploit things they saw in Philly's secondary and their pass coverage. I'm curious to see if Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs can.
By you.
No, it was a bad pick because I lost it.
Okay. Right.
But I'm saying it does make this matchup interesting because whatever we didn't see that Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers were trying to exploit, we will see with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and that offensive scheme that they bring.
So you guys are going to be both backing Kansas City a point and a half here, Pete. What's the logic behind picking Kansas City in the game, you think?
Well, again, quarterbacks, this league is decided by quarterbacks. And if you look at it, Jalen Hurts has been good, but he hasn't been great in the postseason, hasn't needed to be great in the postseason. He'll need to be great here. Patrick Mahomes has been great. He's been great always in the postseason. I think that's the biggest difference for me. Look, if you line this up on paper, just like I ranked the starters, the top players are on Kansas City. The stars are on Kansas City, but the deeper roster and the better team is Philadelphia. So what wins out, the stars or the roster? And I think ultimately it comes down to the star quarterback.
Yeah, it's going to come down to Patrick Mahomes. And I think, look, the extra time, too, for Andy Reid, his staff to prepare against, a staff in the Philadelphia Eagles who are a younger staff. And we kind of talk about the matchups on the field. What about the matchups off the field? Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, they're so experienced in this spot where Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen, they're not. Nick Sirianni, for that matter, they're not. So how they handle the adjustments throughout the course of the game will be interesting to see. I kind of go back to Sean McVay taking on the New England Patriots in his first Super Bowl. You knew right early in the game the Patriots came out. They played more of that bear front. It got really Sean McVay outside of what he wanted to do, and they never were really able to adjust in that one. That's going to be the challenge, I think, for Nick Sirianni and his staff, given how young they are and inexperienced they are in this spot compared to Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo.
Those that are backing Kansas City also, of course, has to be the Mahomes factor because of, we just saw the shortest lines in Super Bowl history in recent times. People talking about that Miami Super Bowl against San Francisco. 49ers are doing pretty well for 3 quarters, and then Patrick Mahomes happened in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, when you look at Patrick Mahomes and what he's capable of doing, remember, he called that big play to Tyreek Hill in the game.
Wasp.
Wasp. And you know what he needed for that play? A lot of time. And that's going to be ultimately what decides this game. Does he have time to throw the football? Can he stand in the pocket? How healthy is he? I don't think the ankle's a problem anymore. I don't think it should be. Maybe not.
It won't be 100%. It'll be close.
And I still think he's going to be able to move, but I think he's going to be getting the ball out of his hands. And by that I mean, we talked about this before, Brady. A lot of check downs to the backs. Get the ball to the tight end quick, Kelsey. And if I'm the Eagles, I'm doubling him and daring him to go out everywhere else. But I think the ball's coming out fast because it has to come out fast.
Well, and I think he showcased the ability to do that this season, where maybe in prior years when he had Tyreek Hill, he felt he wanted to hold on the football. He wanted to create more with the play and allow Tyreek Hill to separate. He hasn't had that this year, and I think because of that, he's developed as a pocket passer, and he's developed going through his progressions and really focusing on taking what the defense gives him. So I give him a ton of credit. I want to go back to the injuries, though, because you talked about Jalen Hurts and just the way he's played once they got into the postseason, because he hasn't had to do a whole lot. I think at this point, I'm a little more concerned about his shoulder when I go back and watch some of the tape in the playoffs and the way their passing game has been. And Rick Spielman's kind of said this earlier this week. The downfield passing hasn't been quite as accurate as it was early in the year before he got hurt. Since he's come back, it's been a lot more of a short, controlled passing game. That's probably not going to win it unless this defensive front just has its way with the Kansas City offensive line. So for that reason, I've got more concerns about seeing what Jalen Hurts' shoulders like, what that pass game looks like, more so than Patrick Mahomes.
In terms of the total, we're sitting at 51. It actually had been sitting at about 50, 50.5 for most of the week, but there was a $270,000 bet to the over yesterday.
Pete,
which
you took the over, huh?
Yeah, don't worry. I'm not showing up to work next week if I hit that one.
We saw overs hit in the wild card round and then unders hit in the divisional round and conference championships as we're taking a look at both Kansas City and Philly. A lot of mirroring things in terms of records and points. So you guys like the over in terms of the 51. Obviously, you would have liked to have it at 50 or 50.5. Though.
By the way, Brady, I didn't put that bet in. What happened is my pick got out on Tuesday and it moved the line.
Okay.
It moved.
So you've got a big backer. You've got a whale that you know.
The whale raced out and he follows my picks and he went in and he.
Wait, Joey? We're going to call him Joey. Is that his name? He's bringing the Paisan passion.
Yeah.
Huh?
So he follows my picks.
Mover.
Yeah, I'm the line mover. I move the line.
Well, good for you. My prediction was 27-24 Kansas City. Obviously, that was before the line move and hit to 51, so eventually got there. I'll still take the over in this case, though. I think it would tend to be more of a higher scoring game, especially the way the league's been officiated. I mean, that's something to keep your eye on here. I know Carl Cheffers will be the head official for this game. That bodes well for Kansas City. They've had a lot of success with him as the official, and he's a guy that I think will tend to get more involved than not so much involved in this one. So whether that's hits on the quarterback, PI, any of the things that we've kind of seen throughout the course of the season that's been controversial.
So you like the over, but barely, right?
Well, it's
51. You have 51. You barely.
Yeah. Well, when it opened at 49.5, obviously it wasn't barely.
So you think it's going past 51 now? Have you moved to past that?
Yeah. Well, I'll take the over.
I think this game's going into the 30s for both teams. I think this is going to be an offensive game.
For a second, I was like 30 total.
No,
that's it. Oh, okay.
33-30. That's going to be the final.
Okay.
Chiefs will win it, and it's going to be a high-scoring game because I don't think the Eagles' defense. If you block them, you beat them. And then the Chiefs, if you block Chris Jones, you beat them. And I do think that they're going to have success. Look, there's a young secondary there in Kansas City. They tend to get aggressive in the big moment. And I think that's going to lead to some big plays in the passing game as well for Philadelphia. So a lot of points. I think you see a lot of points.
Well, and especially if Steve Spagnuolo isolates them and brings as much pressure as he likes to bring.
Yeah.
You guys both like Kansas City. You both like the over. If we now go to Super Bowl MVP, you guys like Patrick Mahomes. And I think because Kansas City's going to win, I think everybody thinks at plus 130, Mahomes has to be the guy. And on the flip side, now we've seen Jalen Hurts' odds shorten. Now he's actually the betting favorite at plus 125. The thought process, though, is that there's more options for Philly players to come away with MVP. But for Mahomes, he's got to be the one to get it done.
Yeah, look, either quarterback, right, and the fact that, you can still get him at plus money at this point makes all the sense in the world. But if I'm looking at this, I'm looking at, three guys outside of the quarterbacks that you want to lay some money on. It'd be A.J. Brown. I think he can make some big plays versus that young secondary that you just talked about. And then for Kansas City, Travis Kelce has to be one, along with Isaiah Pacheco. I think Pacheco is going to play a factor. Some of those check downs, dump down screens, he's going to be involved, I think, in this game in a big way.
And if you want to take a real flyer, Chris Jones. Was it 5,000 plus 5,000? There's a flyer because at some point a defense.
Pacheco's at plus 5,000.
Yeah, at some point a defensive player might win an MVP again. I know it's rare, but
it's a Seattle Super Bowl.
Yeah, well with
Malcolm Smith,
Von Miller
won.
Yeah, so that was the last one I think. So a defensive player maybe take a flyer on Chris Jones because he can be a game wrecker.
We took our crew out here. We took our set out here. You know what else we brought out, fellas? The Lock Unity confetti.
Wow. Where's the confetti? I don't see.
There it is.
Oh, okay. There it is.
The snap of Tommy Smithers.
We got the Lock Unity.
Yeah,
you guys are all in step.
That's usually not a good thing.
That's not
for
a good
people.
thing for us.
Fade
We kept track of those.
And Brady.
Go fill in the under.
All right, let's recap the picks again. Kansas City, the over, and Patrick Mahomes. By the way, if you're going to make one bet and you like Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes plus 130, you're going to get better odds than that minus 110 with the Chiefs. But if you like, just in case them losing by one and still be able to cash that ticket, take it there. A reminder about our coverage here at the Super Bowl, both at CBS Sports HQ and Spotlight. Amanda Guerra, Chris Hassel, and of course the rest of our gang. Joe Musso is also at the Waste Management Open, getting ready to get things underway from Scottsdale. So again, live from Phoenix all week long here on CBS Sports HQ.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.